For millennia, humans have intuitively known that there is a correlation between the position of planets and stars in the night sky and the effect that they had on both our individual and our collective consciousness. I mean, why else does the apex of the pyramids of Giza match up precisely with 3 stars in Orion's belt? Not today, but based on where they were 13,500 years ago. And why does the Sphinx precisely line up with the position of the sun during the spring and fall equinox? And in modern times, why does the Indian government consult astrologers to predict potential delays in train schedules? Or why top financial analysts in the City of London have astrology software installed on their computers? Clearly, astrology is not just woo-woo. Some people believe that there's something to it. Something that may be so fundamentally important to how life unfolds and develops, yet cannot be explained through the lens of our materialistic Newtonian physics. No, to find the answers we're looking for here, we've really got to zoom in. And that's what today's video is all about. Hey, I'm Dave, and this is the Octave Leap channel where we explore the fascinating world of astrology, human design, and gene keys, and how you can fully harness these systems to actualize your highest potential. Today, we're going to be covering a certain subatomic particle that might provide answers for a millennia-old conundrum. How does astrology, and human design by default, actually work? When we zoom in beyond the scale of the atom, our model of physics begins to break down pretty quickly. In short, things start to get really weird and confusing for scientists, and that's forced them to adopt an entirely new branch of science called quantum mechanics. And quantum mechanics sounds an awful lot like what mystics have been saying for millennia. Perhaps there's a missing key here for how astrology and human design actually work. In 1987, a Canadian man named Ra Uru had an unusual encounter with a voice that led him to download an incredibly complex system that synthesized the Kabbalah, the Vedic chakra system, astrology, human genetics, and the I Ching into what is now known as human design. This encounter with the mysterious voice seemed to relay such complex information about how the universe had formed and how humans had been conditioned to forget their true essence. I covered this strange encounter in another video on this channel, which I would highly recommend watching if you haven't already. The link is right here. One of the main takeaways from this experience that Ra had was that we're swimming in an ocean of consciousness. But this isn't just some lofty mystical concept. It's actually based on the prevalence of a particular particle that could be the key to unlocking just how all the things in our universe are connected at a fundamental level. This ocean of consciousness is made up of tiny particles. We used to think that the electron was the smallest thing in existence until these guys were discovered. They barely have mass, they travel at the speed of light, carry no electrical charge, and are 1/1,000,000th the size of an electron. Meet the neutrino, and you probably already have, because 100 trillion of these pass through you every single second. In fact, they pass through everything. If you had a solid wall of lead, the thickness of the entire solar system, the neutrino stream would pass through this effortlessly without losing any momentum or speed. The problem for scientists is that because the neutrino is so tiny, it is also very hard to detect. Neutrinos were first discovered in particle accelerator experiments, where physicists calculated the mass conservation and momentum of protons decaying into neutrons. In fact, despite only being able to measure 0.0000001% of the neutrino stream, they theorized that the Earth is being bombarded by incomprehensible numbers of these guys every single second. We are literally swimming in a massive sea of neutrinos. They are the most abundant particle in existence, and we just recently discovered them in the 1990s. But the question remains, where do they come from? Neutrinos are actually the byproduct of massive nuclear reactions that occur within stars. 70% of the neutrinos that reach Earth come from our sun. This is why astrologers and human design analysts place so much emphasis on the importance of the sun. Well, it turns out that the neutrino stream is also being generated by other stars, and there are roughly 100 trillion stars in our galaxy alone. Not just that, but neutrinos do get influenced by matter. So if the neutrino stream passes through a planet, could that stream take on characteristics of the planet? Well, I gotta pause here, because this is where we need to ask ourselves a fundamental question, one that has kept materialistic scientists and the mystically minded at odds since the dawn of time. Are humans the apex of consciousness in the universe? Or is it possible that planets and stars also contain consciousness, albeit in a vastly incomprehensible form well beyond what our rational minds can conceive? As it turns out, this concept has been explored by Gnostic philosophers for thousands of years. In fact, the Gnostics believe that humans are quite far down on the order of consciousness. Above humans is the consciousness of planets. Above planets is the consciousness of stars. Then comes the consciousness of galaxies as a whole, then the consciousness of the universal mind, and finally the consciousness of the unmanifest absolute, or what they call God. Of course, science has a lot of problems with consciousness, and has a lot of problems with God as well. We all recognize that consciousness is the primary driver of our experience of life, yet it isn't measurable or quantifiable, so it gets conveniently shoved to the side. But discoveries of things like the neutrino definitely bring up some questions that require further investigation. And if you're like me and brave enough to ask questions and proceed into territory beyond the scientific consensus with an open mind, then it's time we explore the cosmic potential of the neutrino. Okay. But quickly, let's do a little recap because we've talked about some pretty deep things. So neutrinos are the most abundant thing in existence. They travel at the speed of light and can pass through pretty much anything and are generated in massive quantities in the middle of stars. If I put on my esoteric cap, I'd say that this sounds an awful lot like an ocean of consciousness, but there is more. These neutrinos are carriers of information. And if I take the perspective that stars and planets do indeed have consciousness, then these neutrinos are the messengers of consciousness from the stars through the planets to wherever they end up. But they aren't just energy, they are barely matter as well, so they do impact us in a material way. Okay, so according to this esoteric hypothesis, we can say neutrinos carry information from the consciousness of stars through the consciousness of planets that impact us as humans in material ways, perhaps even affecting our own consciousness and its development over the course of our lives. So astrologers believe that the snapshot at birth, the instant we take our very first breath, is what defines us. According to neutrino theory, it's the snapshot of neutrino energy emitted from stars and influenced by planets that is the mechanism for why this instant in time is important. Human design takes things a step further. It includes another snapshot of neutrino energy, a snapshot that occurs at the beginning of our third trimester in utero before we are born. It claims that this snapshot of the neutrino stream is our design or our unconscious wiring that we carry from our ancestors or perhaps even past lives. The interplay of the neutrino snapshot at birth is our conscious mind and who we think we are. But this may be at odds with who we fundamentally are based on the neutrino snapshot during the beginning of our third trimester in utero, which is called our design. Human design says that our design is our destiny. It's the things that just happen to us without our conscious intervention, whereas our personality is defined by the neutrino stream at our time of birth. And if that's who we think we are, it can also be how we tend to get in our own way and prevent life from naturally unfolding for us. Human design also goes further. Much further. It says that in addition to us being a composite of the neutrino stream snapshots at birth and at our time of design, we are constantly influenced by the neutrino stream at every point in time after birth. This is what astrologers call transits, and perhaps why they get so sketched out when Mercury goes into retrograde, or the sun opposes the moon, or Saturn and Jupiter coincide in the night sky. Yes, the transient neutrino streams are constantly interacting with who we think we are and our actual design at each progressive moment in time. The snapshot of neutrino streams I described a little bit earlier are always being influenced by the evolving neutrino stream. Now, why do we experience challenges or resistances or problems in life? And can neutrino theory explain this? Well, human design does have an answer for this. You see, as humans, we have two lenses within us called the personality and the design crystals. Now, they're not really crystals, they're just really tiny things according to human design that filter the incoming neutrino stream. But these lenses can get a little foggy, and they can misdirect the incoming neutrino stream through our own conditioning. So in other words, the lenses don't accurately translate the neutrino stream to actually develop our genetics in the cells of our body properly, so they create sort of a misfiring. In short, our bodies misinterpret the incoming neutrino information and cause an inaccurate translation of this neutrino stream. This causes us to make poor decisions, sometimes on a level we're not even conscious of. And when that happens, we tend to pile on negative experiences, even traumatic experiences, which in turn cause us to progressively make more inaccuracies in the way that we filter the neutrino stream, so it creates a negative feedback loop. And when our inner world does not match our outer world in any way, we're going to have a big problem. This causes a myriad of mental disorders such as depression, anxiety, paranoia, fear, and even delusions about where things are heading in our lives. Therefore, if we want to live in balance, we need to find a way to create coherence between our inner and our outer world. This has long been the pursuit of many spiritual and esoteric systems throughout history. Because when these two worlds are coherent, we're in the flow of life. The same flow of life that has the power to give birth to galaxies, make sun shine, and allow us to experience our very first heartbeat. Naturally, wouldn't we want to be moving with this incredible source of life force? That's how I feel, at least. And since there's so many possibilities for the ways that neutrino streams can define us, we can easily see how many ways each of us can be completely different. In fact, human design calls itself the science of differentiation, which is really about celebrating how unique and different each of us are when we allow ourselves to move with the greater flow of life. We allow ourselves to harmonize with that greater flow of life. We individuate and create our own individual expression. In essence, we live on the exciting edge where the ocean of consciousness meets our own unique individual expression. I personally believe that when we filter the incoming neutrino stream accurately, by resolving any of these distortions in the way that we filter this incoming information, that's how we live in alignment. It's a bit of a techie scientific explanation for it, but it fits. Our lives become richer, filled with purpose and joy. On the other hand, when we're weighed down by conditioning from negative experiences and trauma, we get progressively out of sync with the currents of life, leading to depression, low energy, and the inability to actualize our potential. I also believe that astrology and human design are incredible tools for uncovering our cosmic blueprint so that we can have a starting point to clean and resolve our internal lenses, so that we do indeed live in the flow of life with purpose and cosmic potential and clear lenses that are accurately filtering incoming information. You can probably hear it in my voice. 10 years ago, I would have never thought I'd find so much joy and passion in sharing these ideas, but through using these tools and my own journey with them, I found my purpose, and I learned to create a reality beyond my wildest dreams where I got to live in tropical places and even run a retreat center dedicated to the esoteric arts. Using these systems helped me so much to actually open up to new ideas beyond sort of the blinders that many of us get caught in when we're operating according to somebody else's idea of what we should be doing. So if you ever feel a call to uncover your own potential and live according to your own individuated design, I want to let you know this channel is here to support that. But I've also got something you can use to get started now. It's a free 3-day journey below where you can get a reading of your personal collective wound. This is one of the biggest imprints that may be keeping you and your own lens from filtering incoming information properly. So we really need to shift the collective wound first, so we stop taking in everybody else's stuff and start to listen to our own internal guidance. So I've actually taken astrology and human design a step further and made one simple but significant correction to the initial systems that I talk about in some of my other videos. This was a necessary adjustment because the original version of these systems actually had one calculation that didn't accurately portray the neutrino stream. This miscalculation has been so ingrained in history that as a result, we have all just kind of bought into it. But what I found in my own research is it isn't true. And that after doing hundreds of readings for people, they also resonate. They're like, wow, this correction really makes a big difference. And if you are feeling right now the call to dive in with both feet and explore your cosmic potential today, I do have a 3-month program that you can read more about in the description below. And I sincerely hope that you enjoyed this somewhat scientific and definitely esoteric exploration of the wild world of neutrinos. If you like this content and want more, please like, subscribe to this channel, and be sure to share this video with any open-minded friends. Until next time, where we'll be diving into getting the most out of your human design analysis. Take care.